again, everyone. I'm back again with another complete growing guide. Last time it was onions, this time it's potatoes. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know as a beginner gardener to grow your own potatoes right at home. I really wanted to film this outside in the garden today. It's really beautiful and sunny, but it is so cold and windy and it makes it really difficult to film when your hair is whipping in your face and your eyes are like streaming tears. So inside it is. First, let's talk about how you grow potatoes because it's a little bit different than how you grow other vegetables in your garden. Most vegetables are grown from seed or you can purchase seedlings. Potatoes, on the other hand, you grow from seed potato, which are essentially smaller potatoes, or you can sprout larger potatoes and cut them into pieces. It is possible to grow potatoes from seed, actual seed, but it's rarely done because the length of time it would take from seed to harvest is so long. So as beginners, obviously I recommend that you grow from seed potato. I get my seed potatoes from Prairie Family Farm. This is a small, multi-generational, family-owned organic farm, and they specialize in potatoes. And the reason I don't just go buy a bag of potatoes at the grocery store and sprout them and then plant them is for a few reasons. Although that is certainly a cheaper option, potatoes in the store are meant for consumption, not planting. A lot of these potatoes are sprayed with chemicals to keep them from sprouting, which is what we want when we're trying to plant them and grow them. Even organic potatoes could have possibly been stored for long periods of time, and this can affect the way that they grow. You also run the risk of introducing unknown pathogens or disease into your garden. So for me, it's not worth the risk. I want to get a lot of bang for my buck. So I get certified seed potato. I've always had good luck with Prairie Farms products. I get great harvests every year. And I also like that I have access to tons of varieties I might not be able to find in my local stores. I'll link the information for Prairie Farm down in the description box if you want to go check them out. There's a few ways to categorize the different types of potatoes. One way is determinate versus indeterminate. But for home gardeners, I think it's more beneficial to just go by the traditional early season, mid-season, and late season varieties because this will give you a better idea of how long it will take from planting to harvest and also what type of potatoes will grow best based on where you live. I almost exclusively grow early season, maybe some mid-season varieties because my window for growing potatoes is pretty short. It gets pretty hot here in the summer and potatoes will really sort of get stressed when the temperatures get high. That's why a lot of times they're traditionally grown in places like Maine and Idaho and Ireland where the weather is more mild. Because I have such a short growing season, the early varieties do much better for me. I can harvest them before that weather really starts to heat up. A few of my favorite varieties of early season potatoes are Yukon Gold and Red Norland. These always give me great harvests and they store really well. Mid-season varieties are going to be ready in about 90 to 120 days. My favorite varieties of these are King Harry and Prairie Blush. Prairie Blush was actually developed at Prairie Family Farm. This is my favorite variety to grow. It is such a good tasting potato. Great harvest, stores really well. Late season varieties are going to be ready for harvest anywhere from 100 to 130 days. Again, I don't typically grow these, but these are like your russet potatoes, also fingerling potatoes are late season varieties. Before you plant, you want to make sure you're going to grow them in the right soil and the right sun requirements. Potatoes like loose soil that's high in organic matter. I always add leaves to my beds in the fall, and in the spring I amend with compost. For pH, they prefer 5.5 to 6.5. This is slightly acidic, and having that slightly acidic soil will help prevent things like scab. You can also grow potatoes in containers. Lots of varieties do really well this way. I like to use large, about 30-gallon grow bags. You can also use something like a large plastic tub. Just make sure you're drilling holes in the bottom. If you're growing in raised beds, this is how I mostly grow potatoes. You want to make sure those beds are at least 12 inches deep because potatoes have those deep roots. Potatoes will require full sun, but remember in gardening world, this doesn't mean sun from sun up to sundown. It just means about 8 hours. So now let's talk about when to plant potatoes. Traditionally, they're grown in cooler weather. So for me, that's going to be in the spring. I usually plant my potatoes 4 to 6 weeks before my last frost date. I'm in zone 7A. This is usually beginning of April. Some places that have longer falls or very mild winters can grow a second round of early potatoes in the fall. And if you live somewhere that's really warm, say down south, Florida, Texas, you can actually grow your potatoes over the winter. Potatoes can handle a light frost, but you want to avoid really heavy frost because they'll damage the leaves. If you're growing in the fall and the heavy frosts are coming on the tail end of that growing season, you want to harvest those potatoes before those frosts set in because it can affect the way those tubers taste. I want to talk a little bit on how I prep my seed potatoes for planting. I like to do a process called green sprouting. This is also called chitting. And green sprouting is basically just allowing those seed potatoes to sprout before you plant them. And this has several benefits. One, it sort of wakes up those potatoes a little bit earlier. This is great for places that have shorter growing seasons. It also can reduce the chance of rot, and it also has shown to give you more sprouts per seed potato. After you get your seed potatoes, the first thing you want to do is place them in a warm, dark place, about 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So the top of your fridge, a warm pantry would work. After the potatoes have sprouted, you want to move them to a place that has some light but is a lot cooler, maybe 55, 60 degrees. I use my unfinished basement a lot for this. If you don't have anywhere that is that cool with that much light, then you can actually use grow lights because we're trying to get those little sprouts to start greening up, and that's what the light does. You don't want to let those sprouts get too long because they can break off easily when you're planting. I usually let mine get between 3/4 of an inch to an inch. And depending on the conditions of where you're doing this green sprouting process, it could take anywhere from 15 to 30 days. So you'll need to back up a little bit from the time that you would plant them. For me, it takes about 15. This is optional, but I like to cut my seed potatoes into pieces. And you just want to make sure that each of those pieces has at least 2 sprouts. You can plant them right away, or I actually like to give those little pieces a few days to form a scab on the part that was cut. And this is because we get a lot of heavy rains in the spring. The soil stays pretty wet, and this just helps prevent rot. So now you've green sprouted your potatoes, it's time to plant. I plant my potatoes in rows about 4 to 6 inches apart. You can also plant them in little mounds. You want to plant potatoes anywhere from 4 to 6 inches deep. If you live somewhere that's going to get really warm weather, say farther south, you can plant them deeper. This will help those roots stay cooler. If you live somewhere farther north where the temps are much colder, then you want to plant them a little bit more shallow. I want to talk about a few plants that are great companion plants for potatoes. The first is bush beans. Now, bush beans are planted after your last frost date, so they'll be planted a few weeks after you plant your potatoes. But bush beans have the ability to help increase nitrogen stores in the soil. Potatoes will use up a lot of nitrogen when they're growing, so they make a great companion plant. Flowering herbs like dill and cilantro will attract a lot of beneficial insects, ones that will help keep down the pests on your potato plants. Flea beetles are a problem with a lot of gardeners when growing potatoes, but if you plant things like radishes or ground cherries a little bit away from your potatoes, not too far, the flea beetles really love these plants, and a lot of times they'll go for those radishes and ground cherries before they'll go for your potatoes. So now, how do you care for those potato plants as they're growing? The first thing I want to talk about is hilling, because there's a lot of confusion and some sort of misguided advice out there. A lot of people will say that you shouldn't hill determinate potatoes. And the truth is that hilling doesn't really have an effect on how those potatoes grow directly. Now, hilling can help keep the roots cooler, and therefore the plants will be happier and produce more. But the act of hilling in and of itself does not cause more potatoes to grow. What hilling does is protect the tubers from the sunlight, and they'll turn green if not. So you want to hill any potato plant where the tubers are going to be exposed to sunlight. So this may be determinate potatoes, just depending on how deep you plant them. In my garden, all of my potatoes get hilled, all of them, because I'm growing in raised beds. They're fairly deep, they're 12 to 15 inches, but I really want to make sure that none of those tubers get exposed to sunlight. So all of my potatoes, whether they're determinate or indeterminate, and I'm mostly growing determinate, get hilled. Another myth is that if you continuously hill potatoes, they're going to produce more and more and more. And this kind of got perpetuated with these potato towers that were advertised several years ago, that you could plant potatoes way at the bottom and just keep hilling and hilling and hilling and hilling and hilling, and you'd end up with tons of potatoes. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot grow potatoes in potato towers, because that's not true. You absolutely can, and they're a great method for growing potatoes. I think the confusion comes in where people think of indeterminate potatoes as the same as indeterminate tomatoes. And while these are in the same family, they are two different plants. An indeterminate tomato, anywhere it touches the soil along that stem, is going to produce roots. And when people think in potatoes, they think, okay, well, anywhere where there's roots growing, there must be potatoes growing. So it would make sense that if indeterminate potatoes grew like indeterminate tomatoes, then that would give you more potatoes if you were just kept hilling up along that stem. But the truth is, potatoes and tomatoes do not grow the same. You can only hill so far up a potato plant before you start covering up parts of the plant that need to be exposed to sunlight in order to produce energy for the plant. So yes, you should hill indeterminate potatoes, and you may need to hill them a few times. You can't just keep hilling and hilling and hilling and expect that plant to just keep producing potatoes. For most potatoes, if you plant them 4 to 6 inches deep and then you hill anywhere from 6 to 12 inches, that's usually enough for all potato varieties. There's lots of things you can use to hill potatoes. You can just rake in more soil around the plants. You can use things like leaves. You can use things like untreated straw or dried pine needles. You can use compost. I've even hilled using peat moss in a pinch when I didn't have anything else, although I wouldn't recommend going this route because it's a little more expensive. Potatoes are pretty heavy feeders. I like to use a liquid all-purpose organic fertilizer. I usually start fertilizing about 4 to 5 weeks after I plant them when I really see that growth starting to pick up, and then I'll fertilize usually 3, maybe 4 times all throughout that growing season. Potatoes need pretty consistent water, especially when those tubers are starting to set. Potato plants can be pretty susceptible to pests. We talked about flea beetles. Colorado potato beetles are another one, Japanese beetles, also hornworms that usually affect tomatoes, but they will actually eat any plant in the nightshade family. I have had them on my potatoes before. Potatoes don't need to be pollinated, so an easy fix for most of these pests is just to cover your potato plants with floating row covers. And last, let's talk about harvesting. Again, how long that takes will just depend on the variety of potato you grow, but there are a few things you want to look for. Now, potatoes can be harvested really at any point once those tubers start to set. You can harvest those immature tubers. That's basically baby potatoes. But if you want to grow potatoes to full maturity, or you want to grow them to cure and store for later, you want to wait until after the potatoes have flowered. This is usually about when those tubers start to set. And then after that, you'll notice that the above ground stems, the greenery that you see above the ground, will start to die back. And don't worry, this is completely normal. This is what we want. And once those stems have almost completely died back, I wait until they're pretty brown and crispy looking. That's when I harvest my potatoes. I cure and store potatoes, so once those stems have died back, I stop watering those potatoes because I'm wanting them to start to dry up a little bit and have the skins of those tubers start to get a little bit tough. Curing and storing potatoes is a whole nother video, but if you're interested in learning how I do that, then let me know in the comments below. And that's it. That's everything you need to know to get started growing your own potatoes. As always, don't forget to follow me on my other social media channels. I post easy to follow videos aimed at helping beginner gardeners. And don't forget to go check out my complete onion growing guide that I posted last month. And don't forget to follow because I have a beginner's guide to composting coming out really soon. Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.